Hello, good people, and welcome to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for another review, and we are in Speyside in Scotland, and we are looking at Inchgower, another distillery that I have not touched upon in the past. As a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest probably quite a few of you out there have never had Inchgower. I may be wrong, but it's just one of those distilleries that I never really hear people talking about. Let's look at Inchgower, shall we? A Speyside distillery owned by Diageo, established 1871. An awful lot of what's produced in Inchgower being that Diageo stuff, blend fodder. I know it's an awful thing to say, but it's the truth. An awful lot of what Inchgower is producing goes into Bell's, the Bell's blend. So this is an official bottling of Inchgower, this being part of the Flora and Fauna series from Diageo. There will be independent bottlings of Inchgower out there, but in a lot of cases, if I can, in the process of looking around in these distilleries, I'm going to buy the official bottling if there's one out there, because I still think the official bottling is given the truest version of that distillery. You know, because it's what they do. They put out malt or blends or whatever from that distillery. It's theirs. It's what they do. An independent bottling, you're going to get their tweak on it. Anyway, let's get into this. Lovely, bright. Slightly, it's bright, it's clean, it's sharp. There's a herbal note in there. And I would suggest that herbal note is wild mint. Now, I'm talking as opposed to domestic mint. I'm talking wild mint is, when I say that, I mean sort of riverbank walks, wild garlic, wild mint, stuff like that, where it's there in the background. And it's a sort of wetter, maltier sort of thing. It's hard to explain, but certainly not that clean, crisp, bright thing that, once again, if domesticated mint is the thing, it's more, I mean, that real sort of off the beaten path, wild minty thing. And it is there. There's definitely there's definitely this, given this being Speyside. Yes, the honey's there. Yes, the sort of floral, whether you like it or not, notes are there. Ex-bourbon, I imagine. 43%. I probably didn't mention colour, whatever, chill filtered, but the Speyside thing is still all going on, but there's something else in here, and in this case, I would suggest it's that herbal wild mint note. Palate. Sweet and sour, but it's weird because that note shows up even stronger in the palate. Because all the brightness is still there, all the citrus is still there, but that there's definitely a something that if you know that it's very, very hard to explain without smell-o-vision, without having a piece of wild mint to rub and go, now I know what you mean. This is the classic descriptive thing of don't describe the whiskey as grandma's apple pie, because nobody knows what grandma's apple pie smells like. If you ever come across wild mint, just give it a rub and don't just hold it up to your nose. This is a background thing. This isn't all over this. It's just in the background of it. And it does remind me of my childhood, because riverbanks and stuff like that, and just there was always wild mint, wild garlic, stuff like that growing in the background. This is good. It's decent. It's thick. It's solid. It's 43%. There's not a damn thing wrong with it. It's 14 years old. It's around the 55 pounds a bottle mark. Good clean finish. All of that Speyside honeysuckle, floral, vanilla, caramel, all going on. Nice, with that nice herbal note in there as well, and lovely clean right through into the finish. And the finish is, once again, this is pleasing whiskey, because do you know those people who don't like whiskey to burn? Well, they would like this. I still say that, look, if whiskey doesn't burn a little, there's something wrong with it, because it's ethanol. It's in its nature to do so. Give that burn a name. In this case, it'll be sweeter, as in along the lines of clove or cinnamon or something like that. It's got that sweeter element to the burn, but it's, decent enough. Really is decent. I'm going to add a drop of water. Drop of water. Drop of time. Be patient. If you're adding water, add time. Don't just put the water in there and expect it to change instantly. It needs to marry, it needs to knit, it needs to, let the two come together, give them a little while longer. And this is a good example of it. Loads of toffee notes. I haven't mentioned a lot of toffee in this so far. Well, the toffee's there now. And although even the toffee notes are there, but like the palate, pre-water, there's loads of thicker lemon notes and or lemon notes, and that yet again that herbal note's still there. Do you know, I would suggest at 43% this actually benefits from a drop of water. It really does, and there's even a very, very slight lactic note on it, but it plays into it. It's 14 years old. It's tasty whiskey. It's around the £55 a mark. That's around what I would be expecting. Slightly less, actually. £55 mark is usually what you're paying for your sort of 12-year-old whiskey nowadays. Given that it's Diageo, given that it's part of the Flora and Fauna series, and they're known for putting the arm in. I don't think it's a bad price. I think it's a decent whiskey. Would I replace it? No. I don't, but I don't really intend replacing any of the Flora and Faunas. I'll just add them to the series. And at some point, I think the problem with them is that I find them all a little samey. At some point, I must sit down actually with half a dozen of them and go, right, well, if I find them samey, let's try them against each other and see if they are, because it's just got that space-sidey feel about it. But it's weird. If every distillery within the Diageo brand, under the Diageo ownership, was just banging out exactly the same whiskey, why would they? I know that they have to, they have to have their quantities up. They need their stock for those blends. Johnnie Walker, largest, huge selling whiskey, selling millions and millions of cases. So they, let's face it, they need the stock, but there's a reason why they're putting 40 plus distilleries into that blend or into those blends. It's because these people know what they're doing, and they're doing it well, and they're, it's all in the history of it. It's all in the getting it right and getting it, just to that mark. And it's nice that we get the opportunity to try these single malts from certain distilleries. As I say, I wouldn't rush out to replace this. I won't be. I don't even know if I'd necessarily be rushing out to buy independent bottlings of Inchgower. An awful lot of what's going on in this series of me poking around in distilleries I've never tried before is one and done stuff. Did you ever try Inchgower? Yeah, done. Tick. Move on. But it is nice. It's nice to try it. And fair play to these guys. That, they're good at what they do. There. So then what would I suggest as an alternative? Well, I suggest that I did mention a while ago in there, in the middle of that review, there was a little lactic note about it. And it did remind me of something. And I did go and try, and I did agree with myself. And it was this, from the lowlands, the Bladnoch Vanilla. When I thought lactics, Bladnoch's the first distillery I think of. And there's a brightness about the vanilla as well. And I just, so, yeah, around the same price. As a matter of fact, the Bladnoch's probably slightly cheaper than the Inchgower. So give If you've had Inchgower, even if just Speyside whiskey's your thing, if you're just into Speyside whiskey, well, the Inchgower's a good example of it. Give Bladnoch a go. There's something a bit thicker out there, something a bit more heft about it. Give Clynelish a go. Feel around. You don't have to like smoky whiskey. If you dislike smoky whiskey, that doesn't mean you should dislike Scotch whiskey. There's plenty of it out there that isn't peated, but is perfectly tasty to the palate. There. Fantastic. Away you go, Vinaya. And we'll say thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should anybody wish to join that group and show the channel a little more support, it would be very much appreciated. The details are in the video description below. I'll be back the next time. I hope you can join me when I am. Until then, look after yourselves. Here's to your good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.